don't know. I think there was an update or something. Sorry about that, folks. The sound is should be back now. Whatever
Okay.
reason, OBS has decided it wants to do its own thing. And I am here today with DnD Elise, creator over on the DMs Guild, and works with Hit Record. And if you do anything else, feel free to tell us about it. But let's talk about what you're doing over on the DMs Guild. Take two. This time, again, from the top. What we're feeling.
Awesome. Good old technology.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You know, if you're not messing stuff up, are you even really doing it live? So, so on the DMs Guild, you're just telling me about the projects you're working on over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our latest release is through the
Oh no, and we have a bit of freezage. Well, folks, hold on a second while we figure out what's going on. The internet gods are not being kind today. For some reason, we have Elise is quite frozen. I don't know if she's dropped or if she's going to unfreeze, but we'll give it a few minutes and see what happens. Appears to be one of those days for the internet. And oh, I heard something. Nope. Give it a moment and we will probably get Elise back. I heard a little blip before she got booted out by the internet gods. So anyway, we'll be talking about the DMs Guild, creating stuff on the DMs Guild, and D&D and gaming as usual. Folks, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and just put question beforehand or a question mark or something. It makes it so much easier for us to pick them out when we're grabbing them. And like I said, we'll just give it a moment and see what happens. You're back.
Okay, I'm sorry. Like Zoom totally just went down.
I saw. So it's one of those days. The internet is just not wanting to cooperate. It happens.
Okay. All right. But yeah, I write for the DMs Guild.
Yeah, a third time. You went into like permafreeze, and I was like, "Is it going to unfreeze?"
I wouldn't look like I was sneezing or something.
Well, you didn't get stuck in a dinosaur face, at least.
That's good.
So a third time.
Oh, do I need to start over or?
Yeah. Go ahead. We'll take it from the top.
Oh no. Okay. We're on 3. So Through the Veil Tales of the Faewild is our latest release. It's the first project I led for the DMs Guild. It's 10 Faewild themed adventures. Volume 2 is in layout right now. We're hoping that comes out 2021. That's magic items and weapons. And then Volume 3 will be hitting layout, production this winter. And that'll be like monsters, familiars, that kind of stuff. I've been a part of like Uncaged and Blackstaff's Tome of Wizardry and some other releases.
And we have gremlins. Roaming around behind you. Doug in the chat says he's been able to play in one of your games and had a lot of fun. You're a great DM.
That's great. Oh, thank you.
So, do you prefer playing or running games?
I like to run games. I like to play, but I don't know. I'm like forever DM. I really enjoy DMing. I love creating new worlds and using modules that are there. Our group at the Red Knight Inn, who I game with quite a bit, and we have a lot of fun gaming. All our games are full of laughs and a good time. Like I'm about to run the annual weekend at Straub's that I do around Halloween season every year
nice.
now. It's probably the funnest game I've ever DM'd. Like, we were all laughing so hard. We had like tears in our eyes last year. So
What
doing it
is the
again.
premise behind the weekend at Strahd's?
So Weekend at Straub's is written by Anthony Joyce and Oliver Clegg. And pretty much you're going through like this 80s themed adventure, a lot of 80s references when it comes to the monsters. Strahd's dead, so you're like dragging him around with you, and there's like a soundtrack. It has really bizarre rules. So you have to make like a mystery drink called like New Coke, I think, and you mix 3 things in your house together. Some people choose alcoholic, some people don't.
Yeah.
And then you actually get points for dying. So whoever dies the most gets prizes. So I do a couple dice giveaways, and you have to draw like a zombie picture of somebody. So we do all the things, and it's super fun.
That sounds like a super cool game, especially if like a kind of like a party game.
Yeah.
D&D version.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of content do you prefer creating? Like DM stuff, player stuff?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I like writing adventures, but I also like doing projects where just like creating monsters or magic items, because those are a little easier to do. So I do a mix of things. With my own projects, I am a huge fan of Serpent Kingdoms. I think it was 3rd or 3.5 edition, and it's just this idea of like, here's the Yanti, here's their culture, here's their cities, here's their religions. So I really like the idea of like having all those details about a campaign. I kind of wish they had more books like that in 5e.
Yeah.
So we're kind of, I think with our 5th volume for Through the Veil, we're kind of doing a Serpent Kingdoms approach. But that's kind of what I like doing.
Yeah, they definitely moved away from that, from the, we used to get the box sets, we were kind of like that,
Mm-hmm.
or just books. I mean, Ebron was like, is I guess the only one we've really gotten so far, right? Like, this
Yeah, I think so.
with 5e.
For 5e. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
What
like
was
those
Serpent
details.
Kingdoms? It sounds familiar, but I don't like, we
Yeah.
usually do like all homebrew stuff.
So this is like a really great book. It talked about the Yanti and like everything you needed to know about them. So it really went into depth about like their cities, about like factions, religions. So it just really like deep dived into their culture. And I think it's just like a really great, like as a DM, it's kind of like a really good boat to get your juices flowing on, even if you're not doing a Yanti city, but just get thinking about like, well, what do I need in a campaign? What are things that need to be there? And that book's kind of like a good jump start, I think, and to get me thinking about what you want. So
I think the great thing about books like that, though, is they're still pretty useful when you when you switch through editions, because it just gives you different ideas and ways to use the monsters. And I feel like 5e is one of the easier ones to do conversions into.
yes.
So even the mechanical stuff isn't as bad.
Yeah, I find myself looking into a lot of like 2nd edition for lore and 3.5 for like DM stuff. Like I love the Dungeon Master Guide 2 for 35. I like those cool loot drops and just cool little extras in there I enjoy. So
Yeah. So I guess before we're going live, we're talking about Halloween games, and I realized I did not have one planned for this year. A couple years ago, I did get the opportunity to run for the folks at Think Geek when that was a thing.
Oh, nice.
And I ran a vampires ball, and the premise was the characters all played monster-ish type characters, that were based off of like old Hollywood monster movies. Like there was like Mr. Hyde and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and the Invisible Woman, and different things like that. And so it took some inspiration from the Dresden Files, the 3rd book. They have a vampires ball essentially in there, and I was like, this would be a fun game. And and
awesome.
Also from some of the D&D lore, the nightmare, how they make nightmares is pretty. It's gruesome, but in the monster manual, like when I go back and read it, I find like all these tidbits that you can kind of pull out and use for hooks. And you make a nightmare by pulling the wings off and of a Pegasus and torturing them.
Oh no.
So like that was the idea. The culmination of the ball was going to be them transforming this Pegasus into a nightmare. So the players had to kind of get in there and break that up and not die. So so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, nice and spooky.
I love doing holiday themed games.
Me too.
So what other stuff do you have on the DM's guild? What can people look for?
Yeah. So I have quite a few things. In my first year, I couldn't say no to a project.
Yeah.
So we have so the first thing I ever did was with Micah Watt, Pyromaniac Press. He's super talented. He's been working with the DM's Guild for a long time. Great to work with. So we did Undermount and the Lost Chambers. So I did 2 adventures for that. And then we did Hallister's Horde with RP Davis. So lots of Waterdeep themes because we had Dungeons of the Mad Mage coming out at the time. So that Hallister's Horde's a lot of like magic items, weapons, like Undermount and Waterdeep themes. I've been a part of Joe Rasso's The Great Dale campaign guide. So it's one of those great DM guides that kind of has like history and lore and cities and NPCs. So it has a nice grab bag of everything. What was kind of cool is they sold it in separates too. So if you're just interested in NPCs or you're just interested in the cities, you could just pick up the chunk you needed. Yeah, I did 2 volumes of Uncaged anthology, which is really fun because I'm a big history nerd. So I got to like deep dive into my enjoyment of history. I've done some silly stuff like I can't remember what it's called. I'm terrible. Okay, but yeah, that's some of the bigger ones I've been a part of. So
do you prefer when you're playing or running? Do you prefer published stuff or homebrew stuff?
Oh, that's a good question. So before I started writing for the DM's Guild, I was a super homebrewer. Like, I still read like the older books for like lore, like, oh, what is the Sea of Fallen Stars like? What's Vecna like? And then I would totally spin it into something really ridiculous. Like, I know one campaign I was running, like Vecna was still alive, but he was in limbo, and it changed him into like a grumpy old man who told jokes instead of being pure evil. He's like, I'm on vacation. I don't want anyone knowing I'm around still, and
oh, that's great.
Just being silly with stuff. Now that I'm doing DM's Guild work, I find myself reading a lot of modules. So old, new, DM's Guild, officially published stuff. I read a little bit of everything. So I've got to improve as a writer. There's some areas I'm okay at, and there's some areas, I still need to work on. So because of that, I've discovered really cool stuff. I'm like, oh, I should run this. I should try this. So I find myself running a lot more modules now. But I'm still one of those people who likes to change things, especially if I'm running something that I ran before. I'll make some big changes to it just to keep it fun and fresh for everyone. So
that is like one of the reasons why I don't probably run published stuff, is because I feel like it's more work, because I'm like, I have to go through, read everything, and then we have to change stuff and adjust it to my players. I could have just made my own stuff up in the time it took to do that. And like our GMing style is kind of very improvish. Mm-hmm. So we generally don't make that much stuff. So doing a published thing becomes a lot more work.
Yeah,
than we're used
you definitely got to like read and take notes, and
yeah. And it wasn't until recently that I finally got to play through some of the published stuff. DM Jazzy Hands and Eugenio is running us through Ravenloft right now.
He's an amazing DM.
Oh yeah, he is a great DM, and it's been a blast for sure. And and also like some of the things that he's changed has been really cool. Like I guess there's the book in Ravenloft that plays a big part with a lot of like gives a lot of the information, but like he's made it a lot more interactive. It's not just like handouts and having the GM monologue to you about these events. Like, so we're like kind of like playing through them and living them a little bit. And I guess we're gonna figure out if we can actually change the past or the future via the book.
Yeah, he's such a good storyteller through DMing. I played in one of his Faewild games back in the day, and like it was fun. And he's really good at building like really scenic,
Yeah.
like theater of the mind situations. So
Yeah, it's been great. So so you've got a few products with the Feywild in it. You a fan of the Feywild?
oh
Feywild, I
yeah,
take it.
yes. So I love the planes. My favorite part about D&D is all the planes, whether it's Mount Celestia, Pandemonium, I love them all. Feywild's a favorite. I know when I first started playing D&D in 3.5 in high school, I always built elves. I used to read a lot of those Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms books. I played Baldur's Gate, Dark Alliance, Sado. I unlocked Drizzt, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was in a huge Elven kick when I was younger, and I still love the plane. Like the Feywild is such a like a mysterious, weird place. Like time doesn't make sense, physics doesn't make sense. You got to be really careful, but it's so easy to get stuck there. So I love stuff that's kind of unknown and not everything's explainable. I love that aspect of the world. So
Yeah, I really enjoy the way Wizards of the Coast has kind of evolved the Feywild and Shadowfell over
mhm.
the editions to, I guess it was like fourth edition and where it really became
Mhm.
these places that were like intertwined with the material plane, which really added some nice touches to it. So you mentioned a couple campaign settings. Do you have a favorite one?
I really enjoy Ravenloft. I love that kind of like how D&D dips into that. Well, at least with Curse of Strahd, they really dip into the like the psychology of a bad guy, which is super
Yeah.
interesting. Anything that's Planescape. If anyone runs a Spelljammer game, I'll totally play that because I'm also a big Star Trek fan. So I love the
Yeah.
idea of like wizards in space, airships. That stuff's cool. Eberron's interesting. They have really cool lore. So hopefully I can start doing more Eberron work in the future. But they have a really cool like creation mythos, like the three dragons of the realm. So I have lots of favorites. I love mythology, and I think a lot of different settings have a lot to offer. So
That I feel the same way because we'll do a video on a topic and I'm like, this is my favorite thing. But it's like every
and so
time we
is
do
this
one.
in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I am.
Especially with monsters, when we're talking about monsters. And it's like it turns out they're
Yes.
all my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, the Ravenloft stuff was really good. I enjoyed
Mhm.
reading a lot of those novels, and
Oh,
the
nice.
the Domains of Dread box set was like amazing. I wonder if they still have that on the DMs Guild
I
or
don't know. I haven't looked, so I feel like Atomic Comics back comic book store back home might have it. They had this like huge selection of like old school D&D stuff. I was always in there, so
yeah.
yeah, I might have to find a good used D&D spot here. So
Yeah,
or yeah, if they have it in the DMs Guild.
because the Curse of Strahd is really cool, but once they expanded Ravenloft out to the other Dread domains, really it was
That'd be
really
cool.
cool. It's like Halloween, all kinds of Halloweens all the time.
It's awesome.
So, what type of characters do you like to play when you're the player?
Oh, nice. So I love spellcasting in D&D. So I play a lot of wizards. Uh, if I play other things, it's dipped in wizard. I've enjoyed playing like bard, rogue. Uh, I like the Gloomstalker rogue or Gloomstalker ranger is pretty fun. I know there's so much controversy around the mystic, but I love
Yeah,
scions
yeah,
and I love complicated characters. I've been gaming since I was a kid, so just the complexity of that keeps me happy. So I like lots of options and replay value. So I appreciate that. But I know like a lot of playtesters were like, "Oh, this is too complicated. We don't like it." Um, and lots of people throw rocks at Mystic, but it's fun. I enjoy it. There's nothing like creating a huge fire in front of you and shooting arrows out of it because I dipped in Ranger as a Mystic, so it's fun.
yeah. I'm
So
curious to see where they go with the Mystic. I'm sure we'll get another
yeah,
revision
I hope
eventually.
so, please.
Yeah,
So
but they seem to like we haven't seen one in a while, so
no,
I
no,
don't know. I don't know exactly what that means.
yeah.
Also, we did see them introduce to psionic characters, subclasses.
Okay.
So I don't know if that was the death knell of the Mystic or not.
Could be, because I know some people are very upset about that class.
Yeah.
So it's
I,
unfortunate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's psionics has always been this weird part of the game that's always been kind of on the side, except for in like the
Hmm.
very earliest edition. But then that was just even more weird and more broken, and it was like really bizarre. You had like a like you had like a 10% chance or less of being psionic based on different things. And then you had Dark Sun where everyone was psionic. So you know.
Yeah, bring back some Dark Sun. Maybe we'll come back. Some nice
Yeah,
survival fun.
I think Dark Sun is going to be complicated for them to bring back.
Oh, that's it.
But
Oh,
we will see. I
so
would love to see some Dark Sun. I know like Robert Aducci runs Dark Sun games
nice.
still, and you know that is one of the harder settings to do. Like usually I'm kind of like you know you can play whatever you want. You know the materials there, especially when people are like Dragonlance and Greyhawk. I'm like, there's not that much that's different. Dark Sun's a little bit different because you need the you know the survivalist rules
Yep.
need to be
Hmm.
tweaked a little bit, and we need psionics to really do it right. The magic system's a bit changed, so and it's a very different system where it seems like Wizards of the Coast when they put out a system like most or supplement most of them are like encompass everything that's D&D aside from like the
Yeah,
Magic
that makes
the Gathering
sense.
stuff.
Yeah, because I feel like 5e they really stuck hard to kind of like that Forgotten Realms setting. This one,
Yeah,
few
yeah.
exceptions. So,
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they come up with next. Didn't they just dropped a teaser, right? Like today or yesterday? So they
oh no, I
got
missed
something coming.
something. What? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I was looking through hashtag D&D last night. I missed something. Yeah, because I know the last one I heard of, what they announced was the Tasha's Cauldron, which I'm really excited about. I love Xanathars. So, what was the teaser? What did I miss?
I was watching like there's barely anything. There's just a thing that
Okay.
says like beware or something with a bunch of different
Oh,
names
okay. I
that are
did see
involved.
that. Okay. I thought it was a new, yeah, it should like a new stream or something because I saw that on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't miss it. Okay.
I guess they'll be announcing something. I actually saw because Ted from Nerd Immersion did
Okay.
a video on it and it had just gone
Ah,
up.
nice.
And I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And he starts with, "I have no idea what this is." So,
Nice. I'll have
uh,
to catch that video. They do good stuff.
um, yeah, but he kind of breaks down like the little bit there was from, and it does look like it's just going to be another stream, but that usually means
Okay.
they're going to announce
New
something with it.
content.
Yeah,
Ooh, nice.
so we'll see. I guess it's going to be the next adventure. I don't know,
Okay.
but they can't. It's too soon, right? They just did one, and they got Tasha's, already coming out. I don't know what it's going to
Hmm.
be now. Now I've got myself worked up.
Now I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'll be like watching now. So yeah, hopefully we find out soon. You have to check their Discord. D&D has a Discord where they're like dropping little. I know during Tasha's they dropped like a sound clip in there and some
Yeah.
little teasers. So I'll have to keep an eye on that.
So during these end times, the apocalypse, do you find yourself gaming more or less or the same?
uh, grab bag.
Yeah.
So I actually took a little bit of a D&D break. I'm just now starting to play D&D. I just now started picking up more. I always have DM's Guild projects, but I've started picking up more because I felt like I was kind of motivation was kind of down here a little bit
Hmm.
because all the news is like a flaming roller coaster of doom, and it's stressful because I do pay attention to politics quite a bit. But I'm doing more board gaming with my son, which is nice family time. I
Yeah.
picked up some new hobbies. So I tried mini painting for the first time. I tried out Magic the Gathering for the first time. So I've been putting commander decks together and playing on Tabletop Simulator. Um, and I don't know, just kind of looking at new board games I want to buy,
Are
like the new Civilization games. So,
are you addicted to Magic the Gathering yet?
uh, it's fun, but I don't think I'm like excited to buy like 6 cases of it or anything. Me, I just buy like budget cards and I
Yeah.
build decks that aren't meant to win. They're very casual. Like I want a tribal angel deck. I want a tribal sphinx deck. Like I'm running NES. Like nothing's very competitive. I die a lot. That's okay.
Sorry, as long as you're having fun. Like we were talking
Yeah.
before, I think I've played like one Magic game ever.
Yeah. And I'm going to try the Fate system for the first time. So I am going to be on a season of Encounter Roleplay starting this coming Wednesday. So I'll be playing iHunt, which is, oh, it's really refreshing to play a new TTRPG. It's more modern day. It's like an app where you hunt monsters like vampires and werewolves, and like these creatures exist in the world, and you're just like these dirt poor gig economy college students. So I'm really excited to try out Fate and kill some monsters.
The
Like
state of the world is so bad. You're like, you're taking up monster hunting. You're like, I can't get a job.
Got to practice for the apocalypse.
So
it's like Shaun of the Dead.
Is that which? Is it Fate Accelerated, Fate Core?
So they're using Fate Accelerated. So we're gonna have Savvy BRDM. She's super awesome. So the group's really cool. So yeah, we're just doing Accelerated. So we have Accelerated and we have the iHunt. So we have 2 books that we're juggling right now. So I have lots of studying to do this weekend. Okay. You got some cool dice. So yeah,
although I mean, there's not really much to Fate Accelerated, so it'll be more the iHunt side of things. You know, you'll have to brush up on. I imagine.
Oh yeah. So we're definitely gonna lean heavy on that, like storytelling and building a story together. So.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I've played a couple Fate Accelerated games. I've had fun with that. Nice. We did like a I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. Like the one game was like we were just different people from different time periods that kind of got thrust together in some kind of temporal nonsense, and that was like, you know, our first Fate Accelerated game. And then I played a couple other sessions where a friend of mine was running basically Star Wars pilots, and he was just, you know, everyone was a pilot.
The X-Wing? Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay,
yeah, cool. And you know, and he was using that system, which, you know, I like it. You know, the older I get, the more I'm into rules light and less crunch. You know, I just recently played in a game of Monster of the Week, and we have another session tonight. And I was just kind of like, I like games where I can be like, you know, just give me enough information to make a character. And when we get to the table, how about I just tell you what I want to do? You just let me know what I need to roll, and I'll figure it out.
Ooh, I like those. Another thing during the pandemic I got into is those Grant Howitt, like 1 to 2 page TTRPGs, like Crash Pandas and Honey Heist.
Yeah, okay. Fun. Yeah.
They're very rules light, and it's you just make some roll tables and go for it. Those are super fun.
Have you tried any of those with your son?
I haven't. I've done D&D, so I have this like kids version of D&D I've created. So first we sit down and we make a map together, and he picks out stuff that's on the map, and we draw little trails. And then I just do kind of simple encounters, like a dinosaur's taking over Starbucks. Oh no. And like I give him a few abilities, like you have a sword ability, you have a dash ability, and I let him roll some dice, and eventually he gets bored and is like, I'm done, Mom, and he's out. Yeah. So if I'm DMing at the game store when there's not a pandemic, I'll be like, Lucius, roll for the dragon, you know, and then he runs off to watch TV. But he likes gaming. He's really into the video game Minecraft stuff.
Yeah, so. They don't grow out of the Minecraft, because mine's 20 and he still plays Minecraft. No Thank You Evil is really good for younger kids.
Okay.
Because it's a resource management game, and it uses chits, right? So like even for kids that aren't really good at math yet, like they can visually see their pile growing or shrinking. So like they understand that even when they're little. So Ted had, I think when he originally ran with his kids, and I think the youngest was 4 at the time.
Oh.
And it's cool because like part of that game is you get a pet, right? And kids always like that. So you always have like a companion, whether it's a little dinosaur, a robot, or something. And it's just like part of your character.
Yeah, we'll have to try that out because he's pretty adept at like Star Trek Settlers of Catan and Machikoto. So I think that'd be a good one for him.
Yeah, it what did he? I think Ted ran something about ninjas stealing the pizza or something. It was
That
like,
sounds awesome.
yeah. So yeah, Ted's got his kids in early. Like me, it took a while. My kids were older before they even touched it, and it stuck with one and didn't with the other. And my son plays, but he's a filthy casual for sure. So
Yeah, Lucius already has the dice. Like he
yeah.
loves going to the game store. Like, so I think I got a future DM over there. So
That's so cool. I know for me, like as a parent, it was like that. I finally got my son into it when he could play. He wasn't too into D&D, but when we started a Mutants and Masterminds game, I was like, "Hey, do you want to play this?" And he's like, "Well, what can I be?" I'm like, "You can be anything." He's like, "Can I be a flying purple ape from space?" I'm like, yes, you can.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so then he played with us for a while, and then we started Nerdarchy, and we started streaming our games, and he didn't want to be on camera. But then eventually he like broke down, and he wanted to play more than he didn't want to be on camera. So we do have he played in one of Ted's campaigns for a while, and he's like. All the kids that I play with, or the younger people, I can't call him a kid now; he's an adult. But they always want to do like collect the pets kind of games. I think Ted's got a game going now that's even worse. It's like a whole menagerie that they have going along with them. I'm like, Ted, one fireball can fix that.
They got like a traveling zoo.
Yeah. I'm like, one fireball, and you'll have a room full of crying kids.
Oh no.
Well, I'm not that evil anymore. I'm reformed. But
yeah, I can do that to my son.
when I definitely growing up, and when I was playing, when I started playing way back when, definitely the DMs would do that for sure.
Oh yeah, 3.5 DMs were very different than 5e DMs. I think like in 3.5, it's like, oh, I just lost my leg and a level. You kidding me?
Yeah.
You don't see that in 5e these days, thank goodness. So yeah.
So Brian Smith wants to know any tips how to pitch character creation to 10-year-old nieces. They've never played any RPGs.
Ooh, okay. So figure out what they like. I don't know if they like unicorns or ninjas. And just tell them it's like a storytelling game. Be like, hey, we're gonna sit down. Do you like to make up stories about, like fairies and battle angels? And we're gonna roll some dice, and we're gonna have snacks. It's gonna be super fun. So I think once they sit down and start playing, they're gonna love it. So I would just set up an event, have the dice out. If it's easier to do pre-gen character sheets, I feel like that's the easiest with kids. Have something already built, or you can all build it together, and just have a family night. So I think once they try it, like you'll find out if they're into it. So but kids love gaming. So
yeah, like those are all great suggestions. It's like just trying to figure out what they're into and see if you can't emulate that. So he also says they're in the TikTok. There's a great D&D TikTok community. I don't know how well you can sort through like what's age appropriate and what's not, but I mean, if they're already over on TikTok, maybe you can show them some D&D TikToks over there, especially if you go through first and kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Brain work. Make sure it's okay for them. It's the right content, and then you can send it forward. But there's definitely lots and lots of D&D content on TikTok.
Yeah.
So.
I think there's other TTRPGs out there that are fun too and are easy, like Honey Heist.
Yeah.
It's fun for everyone. And, just watch the Critical Role video to get a feel how to play. It's like 1 or 2 pages of instructions. Super easy. I think it's a really good like gateway TTRPG. So kind of inch them toward D&D.
And you get to be a bear and you get a hat. What more could you want?
Yeah, you could be Honey Badger. Yeah. I just love that.
Yeah, absolutely delve into the D&D TikTok verse. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I was. There's tons of stuff over there. And it just goes to show it's kind of cool to see where like the community's going, right? And where we can find D&D. It's almost mainstream compared
Oh
to
yeah.
probably when you started playing, right?
Like I don't know, I remember when I was younger and first tabletop gaming, the only place you could find them was at the comic book shop.
Yeah.
Now it's like you go into Target, Barnes and Noble, it's like they have tabletop game. They sell dice. What?
It's
Like it's just
everywhere.
wild seeing that because I never thought that'd be like a thing. It was such a niche thing when I was younger.
How
Now it's just everywhere.
how old were you when you started gaming?
So I started playing video games at like 5. My parents were like super NES, be
Yeah.
quiet, don't bug us. And then
Yeah. Meet your babysitter.
yeah.
NES.
So I lived out in the middle of nowhere. I come from a small town. I come from a town with 3 stoplights, and I lived in the country. You can't see any of the neighbors, so I played so many video games growing up. And then I started tabletopping in high school, and throughout my 20s. One of my really good friends back home, Phil, their whole family plays like Munchkin, Settlers of Catan, all that stuff. So that kind of started building our circle of gamers back home. So I've been playing a long time. So
So, what's
and
your favorite tabletop game?
so many.
Yeah.
So right now it changes by year, but this year I'm really into Terra Mystica. I love Elder Sign Seasons. And Love Letter. I play Loot Letter, which is a Munchkin version, but it's such a simple card game, super fun. Um, and and of course I play a lot of D&D. So
Yeah, I think I like simple games, right? Like, or not necessarily simple, but fast. So
mhm.
like I have this weird thing. Like if a game takes more than 2 hours, it's like I would rather just probably be playing a tabletop RPG. Uh, so I tend to like games that I can play a bunch of times in like an hour or 2 hours, as opposed to like, oh no, this is going to be an event and we're going to be doing this all day long. So I
I love
think
this all day long games.
So I think I
Yeah, I like
I
both.
do too, but if I'm doing that,
Mhm.
I just prefer RPGs, I guess.
Yeah, the all day ones take planning. Like, I still need to find a group that'll play Arkham Horror with me, and it's hard to find people that
That's
want to
exactly the game I
commit
was talking
to
about.
that. But yeah, because I've reached a point where it's like I've played so many board games, like with
Yeah.
Munchkin, Catan. There's only so many things you can do, and it's like okay, like I like the like Civilization, Twilight Imperium. So I do like those more engrossed games. There's a lot of ways to win. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
both are fun. Go ahead.
House on the Hill, Betrayer is probably I like that one. That one is
Those
a
are
little bit
fun.
longer, but that one does it for me for whatever reason.
Hmm.
I've played
Definitely.
Arkham Horror once. It was like 6 hours. I'm glad I
It's
did
long.
it. Probably not going to do it again. Um, but I really like Smash Up and Quarriors.
Ooh, Couriers is fun.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a different take on the deck builder. So
Oh yeah, yeah. It's you got stats on your dice and mhm.
but yeah, for Ted used to run these like monthly board game nights, and
Okay.
I really missed them. Then he had kids, and it totally wrecks everybody's life. But yeah, so there would be like games going on in like 3 4 different rooms at the same time at any given time, which was really cool. We would set up like a big
Awesome.
I don't know if you remember Heroescape, uh, but we would set up a big Hero skateboard, and that
Okay.
would be going on. Usually there was like Zombicide going on, Arkham Horror, Blockus, like Ascension, Descent, all those games, Smash Up. So usually you could find pretty much anything, and like Ted, like his house, he's got like so many board games. It's like going into a board game store, and then people would just
That's
show up
amazing.
with their favorite board game as well.
That sounds
We haven't
fun.
we haven't done that in a few years, and I miss it. And
Yeah.
clearly, we won't be doing it for a little while longer yet. But one
Yep.
day, perhaps it'll come back.
Yeah, like yeah, I miss those events. Like back, like I grew up in Missouri, so like we had like a huge group for like, oh, it's a holiday, it's an excuse to tabletop game and hang out all day. Yeah, I miss that stuff. So yeah.
Chris is like, I have Arkham Horror just sitting here.
Yeah, I'm like, man, that would be so hard to put on Tabletop Simulator. Darn.
There's some love for for HeroScape in the chat as well. Like that, you know what? HeroScape was my Magic the Gathering. I feel
Oh,
like
okay. I haven't played that one actually.
because I spent way too much money on it. And it's just fun. It's kind of like, I guess, like a squad miniatures game, you would say,
Okay.
but it was far more commercial.
Okay.
And like, I bought so many sets and then like picked up so many on eBay. I just have like totes full of that stuff. And I actually like I enjoyed building the different sets you're going to play on. And then slugging it out with your friends.
Nice.
One day I'll have to dust it off and bring it back.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out sometime. Yeah, because that's the thing with like lockdown. It's like it's the time to like I finally have some extra time to try out new things because I have like 3 hours of daily driving that I have to myself now, which is super nice. And yeah, it's a good time to explore new things.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said you're actually playing some things on Steam?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or Tabletop Simulator, I mean.
Yeah, that too. So sometimes I play Divinity and some other games, some friends back home. I also play Magic the Gathering Commander on Tabletop Simulator with some folks because the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's fun. If anyone wants to play, send me your Steam code. So
yeah, I know. So I know Doug plays Magic, but he plays on the Arena, and he
okay.
But like I guess we were talking about before, but from what he said, he doesn't spend any money. He just whatever decks they give him, and I guess you can win cards. I don't know how any of that works. I'm old.
Yeah, I've like rebuilt. So I have paper decks. I've just rebuilt those for Simulator. So that way I can like test drive them. They're all terrible, so I die a lot.
Some more HeroScape love. Nicholas is. I have over 1,000 worth of stuff worth in the closet. I do as well. We even like there was this guy Leaf Kicker who he actually does deck boxes and stuff, and I've seen him do some stuff with the deck of many, and like he would build custom pieces that we had bought from him, and I spent way too much. 1,000 he actually looks like a small number. Like I said, that was my Magic the Gathering. So Ted had been into it with his friends, and those guys were all younger than me, and they would buy like the boxes when they came out or whatever and split them. And he when I say recently, probably a couple of years ago, he's like, I don't do anything with these cards. I'm gonna get rid of them, and he sold them and like bought a car. So.
Oh dang! Yeah, that's the thing with Magic cards. There's like this. I didn't know about it till I started playing. There's this crazy like market.
Yeah, the aftermarket. Yeah.
Like here's a $500 card, and it's just like whoa.
Yeah, I think he had some crazy expensive ones, but they're also from back in like like the 90s. So I guess.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
They were old.
Classics.
He also had some knockoffs and got in trouble for those. Like he didn't know. Someone sold them to him.
When you're a kid, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so now that you're playing Magic the Gathering, are you taking some inspiration from that into your D&D games?
I'm so guilty. Yes. Oh my god. So I know for the Faewild monsters that we're doing, I'm all like, I wonder if I can build some sphinxes that make sense in the Faewild, because in Magic the Gathering, a sphinx can look like anything from like an insect to like a flying lion and with a rider. Like there's just such a diverse look at different creatures there. I already love Celestials. Of course, I love the Angels. I think it'd be really I don't know. I think it'd be fun if they opened up more of Magic the Gathering for the DMs Guild, because I know we have Ravnica, but I think it'd be really fun to kind of dip into the lore of some of like the Angels and the Sphinxes or the Archons, and create some content. I think it'd be fun. But yeah, I notice a lot of like the monsters I create, I kind of get a little inspiration from Magic the Gathering. So I'm like, oh, this card's really cool. What would that look like in D&D? So, yeah.
I think they did like 5 crossovers.
Oh, nice.
That they had just put up on Wizards, and I think Ted had them all printed. Like he took them,
Nice.
downloaded them and sent them to a printer. When it took them to his local printer and had them printed out.
That's awesome.
So I imagine that was like their test to see if, before doing Ravnica and Mythic Odysseys of Theros. But yeah, although I'm not into Magic the Gathering, I do like the content that they've put out to put into D&D and just expand it.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine they're hoping to try and pull in some of those Magic the Gathering players. I don't know if it'll work, but we get cool stuff to play with.
Yeah.
We get elephant people out of it, right?
Yeah, you get the. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So, so you said you like the Sphinxes from Magic the Gathering and kind of sneaking them into your own designs now. I love grabbing inspiration from different places to throw into my games. What are some other places you found inspiration?
My big one's history. So I am a big history nerd. So while I'm creating a dungeon or a building, I'll be like watching videos on like how were medieval castles built? How did they lime wash? How did they make paintbrushes? What are the parts of the key? Kind of stuff like that. So I dip into mythology a lot. So if you look at my NPC names, they usually have some lore, and if you look at that lore, it'll make sense to that character.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like if any lit nerds out there, you want to do a little deeper dive, that's there.
Easter eggs. There's Easter eggs in there.
Yeah, I reference a lot of history, so there's a lot of history, sometimes music references in my stuff because it's fun. I enjoy the idea of literature where you kind of sneak little extras in there. They're subtle. People that recognize them, I think, will appreciate it. So,
what do you have favorite D&D monsters to use against your players?
So many. I like everything from the classic gelatinous cube because when you have new players experience that, they're like, "What is happening?" I love Behirs. They're so gross. They swallow creatures and vomit them out, and people are just like, "What is happening?" And I just love seeing the reaction of people. Yeah, I remember playing this game. Someone got like swallowed by a Behir. Another group blasted them off the mountain. They're all free falling and somehow managed to get back on the floating island, and it was wild. I like the dragons. They're classic. I like fun stuff, fun, cute stuff like flumps. Yeah, so I have so many favorites. Devils and demons. I love all the celestials. So all good stuff.
They stuck a couple of cute monsters into the Rime of the Frostmating.
I watched that interview with Chris Perkins with you guys.
Yeah, I hadn't really checked that. I hadn't really checked it out until I haven't had him on, and I know that Watts wanted to talk about that, and I was like, oh, Yeti tykes and squidlings or gnome squidlings. Those things are. I'm like, that's adorable, and they have a mental tickle. Oh,
yeah, I feel like I saw about that. That's so hilarious. Like this mind flare that's just so weak and
yeah. It's like a mind flare teddy bear that can eat your brain.
Mm-hmm. But I'm that player. I'm that player they're targeting with the cute stuff.
Oh yeah. I've had quite a few of those players in my games. Even if it's not cute, they still try and adopt them and make them cute.
Or they can start out your DMing. They start out cute and special, and then they're like, "This was created in the dungeon of one of Vecna's followers," and it turns out to be like a rabid demon rabbit. Like
yes,
there's
I like that.
You can have with that.
I like feeding those players and giving them what they want for a while, and then you just flip the switch and be like, "This is that now the thing is going to do what it actually does." I had a group that was really good for that. And they knew that it was coming. But that was part of the fun. Is like, when is the surprise going to get
Yeah,
spoiled?
you got this whole new arc you can add to your adventure.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of like the unexpected in a game, like as a player and a DM. Keeps stuff fun, keeps everyone on their toes.
What kind of style of games do you like to run?
Kind of like my DM style or
Yeah,
types of games.
DM
So I'm
style.
a really laid back DM. Like, rules are kind of like guidelines. I'm not a rules lawyer. I do not have them all memorized. And I'm very big on turning. I think WebDM says it, turn a no into a yes. Like, I'm big with, like, if players have cool creative ideas and they have like an explanation for it that makes sense, I'm like, let's do it, because a lot of my games end up, we're all laughing, we're having a good time, it's lots of mayhem and flying off the rails, and I'm fine with that because we're all having fun, and that's the most
Yeah.
important part. So yeah, I'm a pretty laid back DM, and I'm just here to have fun. So have a
It
good
is
laugh.
it is a lot more fun to say yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, or yes and or yes but
Yeah.
yes and there can be a lot more fun than just knowing everything.
Yeah, yes, and roll some dice. We'll see what happens. Like, it's a
That
good
is a
time.
DM
And
after my own heart.
yeah.
Tell me what you want to do, and we'll roll the dice, and then we'll see what
Mhm.
actually happens. We'll
Yep.
make something up together, which is a lot of fun. So,
Mhm.
what uh are you running any campaigns right now?
No, so it's a time thing. I
Yeah.
used to be running games regularly, but now that the DM's Guild projects have come in, it's just like I work a full time day job. I'm a single mom, so I still have to make sure to block out time for my kid and family time. So that ended up getting pushed out. I think the last game I ran was in the last, like, a little over a year ago. It was a Sea and Falling Stars campaign that was very plainer. One of my friends took over that game, and it's still running strong. So now I just run a lot of one shots. I run a lot of play testing, um, and yeah. So I wish I could play more, but it's just a time thing.
Well, that's like one of the great lies of becoming a content creator. It's like, oh, if I just do this, then I'm going to play more. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Now I actually have to do all this other work. I have less time.
Yeah.
And I definitely know plenty of creators that end up not playing nearly at all. And like, or they do play, it's all like play tests. It's all work.
Yeah.
But at least it sounds like you're still getting some games in. So
Yeah. I still game quite a bit, and I'm always engrossed in D&D content.
yeah.
I'm always like, oh, what do you guys recommend for supplement I read for tier 4? And I'm always diving into something. So,
So when's the fake game you're going to be playing in start?
oh yeah, so that starts this Wednesday on Encounter Roleplay. It's 5 p.m. CST, so Central Standard Time. And it'll be going on every Wednesday for the next 8 weeks.
Oh,
So we
cool.
just did our session 0 this past Wednesday to
And
get all the
what are you
characters
playing?
ready. Ooh. So I am playing Marceline. I think the aspect I chose from her was a nerdy metal hacker who's tired of the oligarchy. So she's this, like, she plays the drums. We're all
yeah.
college students. So she works like a crappy part-time job and hunts monsters on the side. So that's the big focus, is going after monsters. And we've
That
got
is the real gig economy right there.
yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like an Uber Eats app, but for
yeah.
monster hunting. So,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be fun. I'm really excited to try Fate for the first time. So,
Yeah. Is the rest of the players part of a band, or are you the only musician?
I think so far, I think I'm the only musician. That could change. Everyone's pretty, like, these really cool nerdy characters. Everyone's got like a unique style. It's a really good group of people. Like, we had a lot of fun during the session 0. And yeah, we have a great DM too. Like, she's fun.
That it sounds like a fun game.
Mhm.
Because when you describe your character now, I'm envisioning like a metal band. That, you know, when they're not meddling, they're out slaying monsters. They start bringing out monster corpses for as you know, the backdrop to their
The
sets.
dance macabre.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
So
so
are the characters in that game all like regular people, like mundane?
yeah, so it's kind of like a modern day setting. So we all have to be tied to the university. So we've got kind of like we got someone who's kind of like engineering oriented.
Yeah.
We got someone who's like I think they said their like character is like nerdy and passive aggressive and like just lots of fun characters. Like everyone's super fun and we've got a really diverse group. So I think with our powers combined, we'll have a good party. So
Yeah. So what is Marceline's method of murdering monsters?
so I'm not sure yet. I'll find out when I get there, but I think she's gonna be kind of like, all right, guys, get in the van. I'm gonna hack the system, and then like if something gets too close, I'll just like, oh, there's a wrench. What the? So
Yeah.
just kind of like improvised weapons, but she's really kind of like the nerdy brains of like,
I troll them to death on the internet.
or how can we electrocute the bad guy in that room using the breaker box, you know, kind of stuff like that. So
Nice. It sounds like it's going to be fun.
yeah, I'm excited.
So we are up on the hour mark. Final thoughts
Awesome.
before we head out, and my apologies for having the technical issues in the beginning.
Well, it's fine. It happens. Yeah, just if you need something to do, check out the DM's Guild. I know the DM's Guild's having their fun little Halloween thing they do every year. You search for the little like Halloween stickers on the page. You click on it, you get a free DM's Guild supplement. I think I found 7 so far. So if you need some free fun content, check it out.
Oh, cool! It's like
Also-
trick or treating.
Yeah, for adults, like
Yeah.
a game. So yeah, it's super fun. Check out our latest release, Through the Veil Tales of the Faewild. We got all custom art and maps. So we're very excited about that. And we'll have some more volumes coming soon. And I'm on, yeah.
And as usual, links are in the description. There'll be a link in the pinned comment after this goes live or is done being live. Thank you for coming on, Elise. It's been great chatting with you. And until next time, stay nerdy.
All right, see ya.